think it's on this little pamphlet that I gave you. The City of Saskatoon has 2 compost depots. I don't know if everyone was aware of that, one on the east side, one on the west side. So they accept leaves and grass there, so that's an option for composting. If you don't want to do it in your backyard, you can haul it there and they'll accept it there. They just won't accept elm. And the video did mention that elm is an issue for composting. Here in Saskatoon, the only way to deal with it is take it to the landfill, unfortunately, because of Dutch elm disease. So that's the only approved facility for disposing of elm. So aside from the compost depot, the city also offers leaves and grass collection program. So in the spring, or right now I think they're all sold out, but near the fall of the year you can contact the city and get a green bin, and the city will drop off this bin, and you can through the spring and summer fill it with your leaves and grass, and a truck will come and pick it up, dump it at the compost depots. So it's a very, for $40 I think it is, a very economical way of getting rid of your outdoor compost. They won't accept indoor at this point. So did anyone have any questions? Oh, and also they also have a rebate program. So we're selling compost bins, I think, for $50 right now, and also rain barrels for $50, $60. You can just contact the city and sign up for one of those discounted bins. Or if you don't like the bins that we're selling, you can just go to Home Depot or find your own bin, and there's a form to fill out to get a $10 rebate for those bins. So that being said, is there any questions based on the video or what you want to do? Is there any vermicomposting? Anyone wants to compost indoors with worms? Any questions about that?
Sure curious.
Sure curious? Vermicomposting is, it's a bin about this big with some holes in it, and there's special kind of worms called red wigglers, and they eat your composting material. So you just sort of dig a little hole in it, hole in the material, put your compost, and cover it back up, and they'll eat away at it. And they're castings, or they're worm poop. It's called castings, and that's excellent fertilizer you can add to your houseplants or outdoors as well. They're not native to Canada, these worms, so you have to purchase them. They're not the earthworms that you have in your garden. So there's some people in the city that sell them and sell the whole kit to get you going. And once the population gets too big, like you'll notice that they'll multiply in these bins. So you either have to split the bin, give it to someone else to start their own composting system, or harvest the castings and use that, or there's lots of things you can do. It goes into more detail in this pamphlet too, and there's a pamphlet back there if you're interested. I've got worms. Yeah, it's a good, I've done worm composting for 5 or 6 years, and it's perfect for 1 or 2 people in a household, a bin this big. If you have like a family, you'll probably need a couple of those bins, and so then space becomes an issue. I also noticed that fruit flies can become a problem, and so what I did with my bin is I put an old pillowcase in between the bin and the lid, and that seemed to prevent them from coming out or wanting to go in, so it just limited them. And again, you just want to cover your compost, same as an outdoor one, so to not attract fruit flies.
You mentioned in the video, how would you use that? They sound like it's just something, an additive for brown.
Yeah, for carbons, for nitrogen source, it's a good source of nitrogen if you add manure to it. If you're composting in Saskatoon, you might not have a lot of access to that. They don't recommend using like your pet feces. So yeah, it's more for agricultural think composting, when you have access to that or can bring it in easily.
The bins that you, like there's some hints for building, some construction plan for a wooden 3-bin unit. So are those acceptable by the city to have on a community garden site?
I think so, I don't think there was any issue with that.
Yeah, because I know there is some construction issues if you're building a shed, it has to meet specs.
Yeah,
And I just wondered whether or not something
no,
like
I
that
haven't heard
applies.
anything like that,
Okay.
so I don't think so. Yeah, for your, like, you probably have a lot of material that would need to be composted, like, how much?
Well, at Sherbrooke, we're composting our own
Okay,
on site.
yeah,
So our garden, we're looking at the gardeners who are part of that community garden, composting, maybe at home and bringing stuff in
Oh,
to add
okay.
to the compost. I think that's
Oh.
probably what we're looking at.
oh, okay,
But yeah, Sherbrooke itself we do some composting already.
oh, okay,
And we've got the worm composting happening as
Oh,
well as
okay.
outside
oh, okay,
composting.
yeah, cool. So it's working well for you?
Yeah.
Now, I have a question about when you use the soil, do you have to mix it with regular soil?
Yeah, yeah, it's very dense and, like I don't know if you've ever seen, like if you can picture, it's very organic, so the water sort of slides off of it, so you have to mix it with topsoil and like other material to make it a little more stable, because otherwise it'll just sort of be a chunk and like end up cracking and it won't be like a good on its own. So you do have to mix it with topsoil or other stuff that you have. They have a mixture, I think it's in here, of, I think for potting soil. Of how you can, the proportions you can do to mix it, to make it like a very good medium to add to potting soil or garden.
So it talks about composting in the spring or in the fall. And so now, are we hitting a point where if you're doing outside composting, it's better to wait till the fall?
Depends, because typically, like I know what I do for outdoor composting is I'll save my leaves from the fall in bags, and then I'll collect all of my compost throughout the winter and then mix it all together in the spring. So right now you might be lacking in browns or dry stuff. So that's where, you know, if you want to save it all, or it might just end up being a big stinky mess if you save it now. So that's where I think they say like to start in the fall or spring.
I can't find the bit in here about the potting soil.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's in the farm compost. Makes it really good potting soil too. I would assume that
Yeah, just
it's
regular
very similar,
compost.
yeah.
A fruit fly trap.
Are there any other questions? Do you feel that that sort of gave you a start on composting? There's a lot of tools you can get to make it easier. I have a lot of pitchfork in there, and at my house I have wing digger, it's called. It's this unit that has a handle at the top, a rod, and these sort of flaps at the bottom. So you push it in your compost and the flaps come up. And then when you lift it up, the flaps go down and like sort of aerate it as you, so you just have to go in and out and out.
Oh,
I found it very handy, yeah.
Because otherwise I'll take a pitchfork and it's heavy and you
Yeah.
can't move it around.
Yeah, I find that very useful for aerating it.
But it's a real two-handed tool. Like you're showing one hand,
Well, it's.
it's not one hand.
Yeah.
And where did you find that at?
I found it at, Lee Valley. They probably have it elsewhere too.
Where do you get the worms? Did you see that?
I know I'm pretty sure on the Waste Reduction Council website, they probably have the ladies there, so,
Have the worms.
yeah.
You can also get the worms from the university. They have a ecological camp for kids. So the unit that organizes the day camps for kids in the summer has worms.
I think aerating is probably the key that most people either don't have the time for, or, yeah, I know that's my biggest issue with backyard composting is I don't take the time every once in a while to go in there and aerate it, so it does end up being stinkier than you want it to be. You don't put the effort in.
And have you noticed a benefit to your plants in your garden?
I haven't been doing it for that long to notice a huge difference. But from what I understand, it's, yeah.
Sure makes a difference in the garbage you produce.
Yeah.
Like we recycle like newspapers and cardboard, and we've got bins for all that in the garage. We put our garbage can out like every couple of weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, whereas the neighbors are out absolutely every week, just
Yeah.
overflowing.
Overflowing, yeah. Yeah, it does make a huge difference in garbage.
Well, if there's no more questions, any more questions? So thanks very much, Stephanie, for coming out.